Welcome to the TIMFD podcast. Today is my favorite day is about appreciating every day as it comes, no matter what life throws at us. We hope that this podcast speaks to you, and if it does, please like, share, and comment. Now let's find out why today is our favorite day this week.
Well, David,
yes,
welcome
sir.
back.
Thank you.
Today's my favorite day.
Yes, it is,
and
always.
It is always our favorite.
Always.
I have a question for you in light of what's going on in the world today.
So we have it written out here.
We do.
It's kind of long.
Because, we get a little bit.
It's kind of long.
Yeah. So what does justice, respect, and the Nordstrom Smash and Grab have in common?
So kind of talk about can you talk about that real quick?
A little
Smash
bit.
and Grab, because that was the one in L.A., right?
There was one in L.A., Nordstrom Smash and Grab. They had like 4 o'clock in the afternoon and 20, I think.
20. They said 20 to 30.
20 to 30 people, all hooded and masked up and everything, run in and grab high-end material,
out of
purses, out of Nordstrom, stuff like that. One security guard went to the hospital. He was sprayed with either bear spray or something like that.
Pepper spray,
but, yeah. But broad daylight. And what are the results? Nobody's been arrested.
Yeah, and what's interesting, Karen Bass, who happens to be the mayor of L.A., said this is a problem, obviously. Yes, it is a problem, Karen. It is a problem. She was one in 2020 as a representative who said that we need to not defund the police, because she was not a big defund the police,
right.
But she was saying take money from the police and give that to social workers who can deal with mental health issues, that kind of thing. And then in 2022, she also said that the defund the police statement is the dumbest thing you could do. She's
right.
liberal. She comes from a liberal point of view. But even some liberals didn't like hearing that.
Yep.
But she was saying we shouldn't do that. But she was still saying take money out of the police and put it into social things. Have social workers and stuff that could do that. And so I think she has one half of the thing correct,
right,
and the other is incorrect. And I think that's a problem.
It is a problem. And when you're talking mental health, a social worker is not designed to deal with mental health issues.
No,
either.
they can't either.
They can't. And there was, and this was in Seattle, not in LA, but there was an issue with there was 2 police officers and 2 of their social type workers.
Okay.
They're standing on the corner watching the cops
deal with this stuff.
Yeah, and basically, I felt for the police officers because they had to back away, but their social worker help didn't help them, and they finally had to. They called for backup and
had to deal with it.
Down.
Yeah,
but the guy had mental health issues.
Yeah, and that's the thing is that I had a daughter that dealt with pretty heavy mental health issues. Rebecca, who just passed away about a year and a half ago on a motorcycle accident, but she had lots of trouble. And it really changed when she was about 13, 12, right around there. And there was one time where she was so out of control that the police tased her 8 times.
Ouch.
And there was 4 police trying to tase her to bring her down. And you're talking a small girl. This is 5'1.5", maybe 105 pounds. But she was so racked up on other drugs and stuff that they knew they had to do something because they didn't want to hurt her, for one.
Right.
But, she was complaining about how much they tased her. And I said, I get it. I understand it. But you could have just not done anything. Just said, hey, man, I'll be out of here. Because they gave her an opportunity to get out of there and she didn't take it. Yeah. And so when you have those kind of things going on, I know personally it's hard to deal with someone with mental health issues. And I understand that social workers have to deal with a lot of junk, and usually they're overloaded too, but they're dealing with a lot of family issues. Adults that have been arrested and things like that, and they have kids, and you're working through all that stuff. So the solution of taking money out of the police and putting into that, no.
Doesn't work.
You have to protect people, for one. So you have the police issue that obviously always need to train. Don't get me, get started on, these guys weren't trained. There's going to be bad apples in anything you do, and in social work, by the way, right. And in politicians. So there's bad apples everywhere, but that doesn't mean we shouldn't be training people. So obviously training was always there. And by the way, I had 2 uncles that were police officers. They'd love the training. So that's not the issue. I know police officers right now that would love, hey, give me more training. That's awesome. But taking money out of the police makes no sense. Keep the money there and start looking at your budget, the city budget, and look for the stuff that's just worthless.
Waste.
Wasted stuff that people want to do for projects and stuff. Take it out of there. And if you think that we need to do more mental health stuff, which I believe we do, take it out of that and put it there because it's a safety issue for our communities. And what was really sad, and I'm going to try to get to this real quick. My phone's kind of going a little slow. But what's real sad is that this issue, and I don't want to get rid of this, so I want to send this. Sorry, guys, right in the middle of podcast. This is what you do.
Yep.
So what I want to do, though, is go to a couple of verses. And I'm going to them because I don't have them memorized. Usually I do have them memorized, but these are a little different. And I just wanted to kind of go over what respect and justice has to do with this whole thing. So we have the smash and grab, 30 guys, 30 men and women, said men and women. And they just charged and went in and took all this stuff, and then they got out of there. They're saying now almost $100,000 worth of stuff.
$100,000.
Okay. Now here's the problem. A lot of cities in California will not arrest anybody that takes money, anything over $900 or $1,000, right? It's like 900 and lower. I mean, that'd kill businesses, and it has been killing businesses, and businesses are leaving. We were joking about this, and actually Alex brought it up. He goes, I wouldn't be surprised if Nordstrom's just said I'm out of California, and that could easily happen, so politicians there, I'm from California, you need to start taking care of the people there and the businesses there. You're going to lose them all. But one of the things that we do need to remember is it says in Romans 13:1, let every person be subject to the governing authorities, for there's no authority except from God, and those that exist have been instituted by God. Now, we get that.
Yes.
We pray for our president. We pray for our leaders, even if we disagree with them. We do that. But there's also another part of that. When the leaders are doing things that are ungodly, then we need to deal with that, or are not of justice. So listen to this. It says in Isaiah 1:17, learn to do good, seek justice, correct oppression, bring justice to the fatherless, plead with the widow's cause. Okay, so there's a side, a group of people that want to fight for justice. I get that. You and I want that.
Yes.
We want justice. But sometimes the justice goes it's not justice anymore. It goes over to one end where you go, there's no respect, right? The respect disappears. And that's where I wanted to go back to this, because respect is gigantic. And we need to have respect for our authority. So having these people go in and steal everything, what they're doing is they're following the rules of what our government in that area is allowing. They're allowing this to happen. So when you have a mayor who says this is bad, Karen Bass, who says this is bad, has she said stop this stealing, and we're going to start arresting people constantly who are going in and doing these smash and grabs in any store. Well, it makes no sense.
And not only arresting
if you're not
them,
doing that, then you've caused the problem.
Prosecuting them.
Yeah, that's the other part. And the prosecution of people who are stealing. I think a great thing would be, someone goes and does something like this. Let's say those 30 people get caught and they steal and they get caught from this, and they arrest them and then they prosecute them. Well, here's what I think would be a great prosecution process. Okay? Don't throw them in jail. Why? And, we're going to be paying for them. Get them out and go, you're going to have to clean up Nordstrom's. You're going to have to do community service everywhere and give them a lot so they have a lot to do. And make sure that they're doing it, and find out how many of them actually have jobs. Right. Because if they don't have jobs, part of the job thing is you must work. And if you don't work and if you don't take that job and you get fired, you're going to jail. And the jail should be then a pretty hefty thing. So you put a boundary on these guys. Let other people see that. We're gonna make some big boundaries. We're not gonna let you just get away with stuff. But what we're gonna do is we're gonna make sure that you're gonna go and start being productive in this society. And if you're not, you're going to jail. Right. I had to do that with my own daughter. You have to do these things. And so with us, we're talking about respect, justice, and craziness that went on in there. And going back to that Jason Aldean song that could cause a lot of problems in the future if we go way over to the other side.
Yes.
Now, he wasn't saying that in his song. His saying is, don't do this in my small town. We're not going to let you do this. Okay? L.A., Karen Bass, you got to start doing something so you could say, not in my town, not in Los Angeles.
Right.
I love this city. I want the city to be protected, right?
Right. Well, and the thing is that we talk about the justice and the process. I like your idea of make them do community service and everything.
Get them jobs. Make them working at McDonald's or whatever.
Yeah, $100,000, 30 people, that's 30 felony counts.
Yes, I know.
And so put that on them and say, okay, this is what you can do. And when you have accomplished all of your stuff, hey,
clean it up,
wipe it out.
Don't want to see again. Yep. It's going to be it's going to be still on that record sitting there, because if you come back, it's going to be sitting there going, you know what? Now you're going down.
Yep.
And you're going to go for a long time. Mm-hmm. And this is something I think that I know we're not politicians. We're not officers. We're pastors. We do have a pulse on what's going on in our culture. Mm-hmm. And we do have a pulse on what's going on with families.
Yes.
And the frustration that people have on both the liberal end and conservative end. And we understand that there's somewhere in the middle that we have to kind of get to. You have to prosecute people if they're stealing from you, and there needs to be a fear of God there. Yes, it has to be there. But you also don't want, you can't have police going beating on people and saying this is the right too. No, it's not. It's like parenting. Okay, you need to be disciplined. You want your kids disciplined, but if you're beating on them constantly, and I'm talking about abuse, that's wrong.
Yeah.
And it's also wrong if you just go kids, go do whatever you want. If you want to cause havoc to everybody, you're causing another abuse, which is neglect.
Yes.
Right? Yeah. Mm-hmm. So there's somewhere in between where we have godly respect, godly justice, that's centered on what the scriptures say, and we respect each other. Those kids, or I don't know if called kids, I don't know if they are. They may be adults, young adults. If they come in, they have no respect for anything.
No,
they don't. They didn't have respect for Nordstrom's. They didn't have respect for anyone at Nordstrom's. Remember when people were getting interviewed, they were scared to death of what was going on there.
Yeah.
They didn't know if there was a bombing or whatever going on. So they had respect, and they had no respect for the police force there, and they have no respect for the prosecution in that city, and they have no respect for the mayor. None. Yep. Because they wouldn't do this stuff if they did. And they don't have a respect of their parents, and I'm wondering how many of them only have one parent in the home.
Yep, that'd be interesting.
So we're going back to that. And I think that when you finally arrest them, if they get arrested, I would look into socially what's going on in all those families.
That's where your social workers come in.
Yes, that's when the social workers come in. They go, let's look at what's going on in these families, what's happened in these families, and how many of them are single moms that are just trying to survive and they, can't watch over everything. How many of those single moms or dads someone else owes them money to take care of the kids and they're not paying it. And how many of those guys need, there's social workers can do a lot deeper into that kind of stuff to find out what's going on. So we can not have this happen.
Right. And that's where you put law enforcement, the courts, and the social workers
all together.
It's now you can come up with a plan for each one, and each one of them is going to be different.
And put the money in those areas. The government is supposed to protect. One of the things that the government's supposed to do is protect the citizenship of this wherever we're at.
Yep.
So there needs to be something there. I'll give you an example when it comes to law and order. So I think we talked about this before, but I just want to remind you. Our governor here, DeSantis, when we had riots, right when Black Lives Matter took place, right downtown Tampa, down in Miami, it happened quick. And it was part of the first few that were going on. DeSantis immediately got all of the police chiefs in all the counties of Florida, brought them together, and 100% agreed on changing laws, which is we're going to find out where the money's coming from for these people to be traveled in and do this stuff. And we will, anytime from now on, if there's a riot and we arrest somebody, we have now the right RICO laws on them to go through all the finances. You know what happened? We both know.
Yeah.
No more riots. No more riots in Florida.
Yep.
None. Why? Because the law was set up to protect the people and say, here's your boundary, and you cross this boundary, you're going to go down. Now, they would have nothing to worry about on peaceful demonstrations.
Yeah.
And we had a few. We had some that went on, and that was perfectly fine.
Yeah.
And we had peaceful demonstrations with Black Lives Matter, and we had peaceful demonstrations for supporting the police in Tampa. We've had that. And that's good. But they didn't worry about the RICO laws because they didn't have anybody that was in their groups that were going to be funded by some people to cause major trouble.
Right.
So with something like this, when a Karen Bass, and I don't want to get on her too much as the mayor of LA, because she knows much more than us on that thing. But there's responsibility that lays not just on these people who stole. There is responsibility on the politicians in that area and the law, not the law enforcement, because the law enforcement could only follow what they have set up in the laws. Yeah. And if you're a law enforcement guy and you're watching people steal, and if you arrest them, you could get prosecuted for one if you arrest them and you arrested somebody that didn't take over $900 or $1,000, and if you arrest them and bring someone to the ground and someone films it, you have no backing from the prosecution, from the DAs in that area.
Right.
None. And we saw what happened in Stockton, California. Stockton, I know that area very well. Yeah. You do too.
I do too.
We're both from California. We understand it. He wasn't born there. I was, but he lived there.
Yeah, I did time.
Yes. and in California, what happened is someone tried to steal from a particular store in Stockton, and the owner said,
Yeah.
And the guy goes, well, I have the right to do that. And he goes, you don't have the right here. And they beat on this guy and kicked him out. And we don't want that either. We don't want vigilante
justice.
But you have to do that if you're a business owner.
You got to protect your assets. Yeah.
Shoot, yeah. If someone came into this church and said, I'm going to start stealing from stuff here, we'd have a bunch of people in here who pack guns, for one, and all have them legally in here. Yeah. And that person or persons would lose. Yeah. And we don't want that. We all have to do is call the police. Yeah. Call the police are here in an instant. I mean, they are literally here in an instant. We have cameras everywhere. Whoever came in here and did something like that would be caught for one, and we would prosecute them to the full length of the law. That's what we would do because we believe in respect and justice. We have food pantries here. We have things that we take care of the community in. We have a big CR here. We would protect what God's doing here from people who are being evil. Yeah.
It's funny. We talk about the mayor of Los Angeles and you look around Florida now, we look at what Governor DeSantis did and everything else, and we're behind that. But here's the other thing that he did. He's removed at least 2 prosecutors.
That won't prosecute anybody.
And they are in cities that are governed by Democratic mayors.
Yes.
And did the mayor object? No. So
the mayor's not objecting because he knows that he or she is in trouble if they do, because they got to get prosecution.
And even though our mayor, Jane Castor, and I don't agree with her, but
she is a police. She is a police person.
Former police chief.
Yes, she is.
And so
I didn't. I wouldn't vote for her, but I do respect her.
Yep.
I do.
Yep. And so, and there have been lawsuits and try to get their jobs back and this, that, and the other. But so far, nothing comes of it. And so, as a
if you're not going to do your job, you need to be fired. I mean, it's just what it is.
Yeah. I mean, if you decided you weren't going to preach,
I'd be fired.
The board would say, "Well,
my wife would look at you and go, you're fired." I mean, that wouldn't work very well.
And so folks, you have to take a stand. We're going to come into probably one of the most contentious election cycles.
Yeah, I thought last one was going to be the most contentious, and this one looks. We're already getting that tension from people already who are going. I'm getting people yelling at me. Where people stand on particular issues, the issues of abortion, the issues of biblical marriage, issues of smaller government, the issues of being financially prudent, the issues of justice, the issues of police doing their job and giving them an opportunity to do their job, which are complete opposites, right? And they need to be together. Yep. This kind of stuff is already heated up around the country.
And we need to, as Christians, we need to take a look at it. And if we have to step back and say, okay, this is what I believe, but I can't just say you're wrong.
No.
have to be able to listen. We have opposing views on some things, and we listen to each other. And we talk. We talk it out, and we agree to disagree. And that's what needs to come back in this country. That's what needs to come back through this next election cycle. So if you have a friend out there that you totally disagree with, and you argue when it comes to politics, I had a good friend like that up, and I finally said to him, I said, Bill, if we're going to go like this down the road, then we got to stop meeting for coffee. And he said, well, why? I said, because all you're doing is arguing. You're not listening to me. And then
a conversation's both ways.
And so the conversation improved. But you have to do that. And you have to do that with folks that you know. And
well, and the James, was it 1:19 and 20? Right. The idea of being slow to speak, or quick to listen, slow to speak, slow to get angry. Those three things are real important. Yeah. James 1:19 and 20, I believe. That's so important for us right now. We have to know what we believe, what we're going to stand on. And we also need to be able to say in a situation like this, that when 30 people come into a Nordstrom's and steal, it's wrong.
Yes.
When one person comes into a Nordstrom's and steal, it needs to be prosecuted. Now, the way we prosecute it, we may have disagreements in. I'm not real big on throwing people in jail. No. I just am not, because I haven't seen the jail system. It's there for punishment, and I get that. I think that should be really set up, the punishment-wise, for violent criminals. Yep. I mean, it's pretty much what it's supposed to be. I think that's what it was for long ago. When you have these people who steal like this, you go personally, and maybe we should run for office somewhere in some places. But simply, I think that we need to be able to look at putting them in a situation where you have an opportunity.
Teach them some responsibility.
Here's your opportunity. Yep. Then this means we do this if they don't already have offenses. Right. If they already have offenses, prosecute them, and that's just what it is. But if they don't have any offenses, then it's okay. Here's your opportunity. You're going to go to jail for 2 to 3 years, whatever the the things are, because you stole over $1,000, whatever. Or we can put you on a probationary period. We can put you. You're going to have. I don't have a job. Okay. Well, then we're going to get you jobs, because there's tons of little jobs out there that a lot of people don't want to work. Well, you'll be working these. Because now it's up to you. Job, community hours, community service with the job. So there's not a lot of time to be an idiot. You can go out there and doing stupid stuff, and having responsibility for that. Maybe the churches should get involved with this too, and be a part of that. Hey, some of the community service, you do it over here if you want, and you'll help with a food pantry, you mow lawns, you do whatever we have to do for the community, and help some small homes that are, people are in trouble. And then after that, give them whatever time you want to do on that. And then if they do it, okay, we take this off your record and you move forward, with a little caveat that it's on there, not to be seen by employers, but to be seen by the prosecutors, that if this person comes back again, we're gonna lower the boom on them, and put that high responsibility on that individual not to screw up, right? And at least you're giving an opportunity. So those who say justice, too many people are thrown in prison, and I agree with that.
Yeah, absolutely.
I worked in prison ministries. It's pretty sad that what happens. My daughter was in jail, and she went into jail for $900 that we could have paid for if we knew about it. Right. And that was her problem. That was her grandmother's problem. And because of that, she was in jail. We got to talk to her more, but she still had a choice to make to not use drugs when she got out, and she immediately did. Right. People have to make their choices.
Make choice.
And so for me, I believe that we should be pretty adamant about this whole thing. So that of giving opportunities, but we need to have respect for our community, respect for leaders, justice that's done, and Nordstrom things like this. Shame on you, politicians and the DAs in that area. You've let this happen. The lawmakers in that area. Absolutely. You have let this happen, and don't blame it on the police. It's pretty simple. And don't blame it on the social workers. Right. You're the problem. So go change it now.
Starts at the top like that.
Yeah, it always does. Hey, I know that within the church. That's why it's on me.
We're about out of time. This has been David Towner, Sam McKeown. Today is my favorite day. Live intentionally. Be very, very blessed. We'll see you on the flip side.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to TIMFD. Today is my favorite day. Views, comments, and opinions are those of the host and guest alone, and Dave and Sam are solely responsible for the content of this podcast. TIMFD is produced and directed by Alex Korn. Music is composed and performed by Chuck Fott. Thank you for listening. Have a great day, live intentionally, and be very blessed.